Returning back to propaganda, page 95 and 96. So what I'm going to be focusing on. Buying a newspaper or a radio set or listening to a broadcast is a social act that presumes a mass structure of society, a total subordination to certain imperatives, felt only when one is plunged into a mass. So, watching a YouTube video is a social act that presumes a mass structure of society, a total subordination to certain imperatives, felt only when one is plunged into a mass. A total subordination to certain imperatives, felt only when one is plunged into a mass in which each person places value on the accomplishment of this social act. That's a proper gender behavior right there. But they're trying to condition us all into that through society. Even more, to go to the movies or a political meeting presumes a physical proximity and therefore the existence of concentrated masses. So just to be in a group, you tend to see you have to presume the same thing, the concentrated masses. In fact, a political organizer will not bother to hold his meeting if he knows he can get together only 10 or 15 people. And individuals will not come readily from a great distance. Because regular attendance is essential for attaining propaganda effects through meetings or films, the mass is indispensable. The majority effect, so essential as a means of propaganda, can be felt only in a mass society. For example, the argument that all Frenchmen want peace in Algeria, or on the other hand, all Frenchmen want to hold on to Algeria, is valid only if all Frenchmen represents an immediate and massive reality. Thus, the mass society was a primary condition for the emergence of propaganda. Once formed, it evoked the power and functions of propaganda. So here we're discussing the crucial link between mass society, which is constantly evolving, and similarly the power and functions of propaganda. Although we shall not go into the matter of individual psychology, we must remember in Schoedzel's excellent words that the conditions of life in mass societies tend to multiply individual frustrations. They produce abstract fragmentary relations between people, totally devoid of intimacy. One can show how the feeling of insecurity or anxiety develops. one can show how the feeling of insecurity or anxiety develops. Trace the contradiction of our environment, the conflicts between socially accepted competition and the preaching of fraternal love, between the constant stimulation of our needs through advertising and our limited finances, between our legal rights and the shackles of reality. So this is why mass society and propaganda is the anima. Propaganda responds psychologically to this situation. The fact that nice. Propaganda responds psychologically to this situation. The situation of the contradiction. The fact that propaganda addresses itself to the individual but acts on the mass explains, for example, the unity between the types of propaganda that are apparently okay. So the fact that propaganda addresses itself to the individual but acts on the mass explains the unity between the types of propaganda that are apparently diverse and the propaganda based on the prestige of the majority. So even though there's all these different types of propaganda, like based on the prestige of the leader, of the hero, or even of the expert, and propaganda based on the prestige of the majority. So these were the diverse methods of propaganda based on prestige of the leader, for example, and propaganda based on the prestige of the majority. Okay. So even though there's propaganda of Trump and the propaganda of the people, the united propaganda of the media, I mean, which tries to represent the people, but there's still unity in the political sphere. The same course of action is always taken. Propaganda and the system is always maintained. Of course, in the exercise of propaganda, both these types have specific functions. But so this is a contradiction right there, but it's still there's unity in propaganda. But it is important to emphasize here that these two types are not very different from each other. The leader or expert who enjoys authority and prestige among the mass is the man who best speaks for that mass. The ordinary man must see himself reflected in his leader. The leader must be, at the Toastmasters Club there was this punk scam artist, in his personality, of course. I didn't know him that deeply. He tried to mask himself all the time. But the ordinary bitches saw that bitch nigga as one of them. So they saw herself reflected in the leader. So that therefore he enjoyed the authority and prestige among the female masses. The leader must be a sublimation of the ordinary man. A sublimation of the ordinary man. He must not seem to be of a different quality. Oh. The ordinary man must not feel that the leader transcends him. That was one of the criticisms I was constantly subjected to. I tried to transcend them. He must not seem to be of a different quality. They must not feel that he transcends them. The quality of the average man in the hero, maybe that's why Biden beat Trump, because Biden seemed, to the batches at least, more like an ordinary man. The quality this quality of the average man in the hero, actor, dictator, sports champion, has been clearly demonstrated in the history of the past 30 years. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So the average man is depicted in the hero role, Captain Save-A-Ho, and the actors and the dictators and the sports champions are where we see them in our consciousness, with their lives exhibited for all of us to see, while those around us, we don't know nothing about their lives. It is what E. Morin emphasizes in his study of the deification of film stars. Right. The cults of celebrities. See, I'm thinking about batches. That's why I'm getting all negative. Anyway. When the man follows the leader, he actually follows the mass, the majority group that the leader so perfectly represents. The leader loses all power when he is separated from his group. No propaganda can emanate from a solitary leader. Moses is dead on the propaganda level. So Moses is dead on the propaganda level. Religion is dead. God is dead. That's what they used to say in the 90s and early 2000s, in the millennial time. All we have left is a Johnson or De Gaulle. Sounds like dick and asshole. Moses is dead on the propaganda level. All we have left is a Johnson or a De Gaulle, stripped of individual characteristics and clad in the aura of the majority. So these leaders are stripped of individual characteristics and clad in the aura of the majority. Because we don't really know who the real Trump is. We just know the news stories, the sensational parts of his character. Some may raise objections to this analysis, which sees a fundamental requirement for the development of propaganda in the creation of an individualist society and a mass society. because only in that combination can the material means and dictatorial will of the state take shape. Oh, okay. Right. So in order for the government to loot us and abuse us, to use us and abuse us, it needs propaganda, which only works in a individualist and mass society. So mind control, that's where it comes from. Alright, Kunal, checking out with this part, page 97 is where I'm going to be leaving off today. Later.